what's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. With me, finally, I have Zach.
I'm Zach with Performance Firearms Training.
He's hung around us a bunch. He's helped me teach a lot. He's been... Fuck, how long have you been doing the teaching game?
6 years. Before you started your company, about the same time.
Yeah, so we've been working together for a while. Those of you that have taken classes from us and that kind of stuff, you've likely seen him. I mean, he's been floating about, especially in this area, for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, since the beginning.
Yeah, very beginning.
If you go back and watch the Kentucky Kydex video, I was in that too.
I think that's still up.
I hope it is.
Sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's up. All right, so we're going to talk about Palmetto State Armory today, guys. You have two different camps. You have the guys that are just kind of like, oh, they're absolute ass. You know, a lot of times that's from personal experience because I've seen QC issues, and some of them, and the other half is like, it works fine, dude. So I'm going to preface this by saying this, okay? I mean, your opinion is probably very similar. For the most part, if you get it, right, it's going to be okay, right? Okay meaning your parts life on, like, you know, their non-premium line, which has FN parts in it anyway, is going to be around about the same as, like, an AR from, like, 2008? Yeah, 8, 9, something like that. Where, like, you're going to shear bolt lugs and that kind of stuff around about 7,000, 8,000 rounds, you know. If that, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on how hard you run it, too.
I've seen a lot at 5,000.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if you show up with a complete gun, you might as well show up with your better bolt.
Hell, in one of our classes, we saw a dude with a brand new Palmetto that sheared it in 4,000 or whatever it was over that 4-day course.
Yeah, and that's because, I mean, these people are not about, like, ultra high quality rifles, because they're not shipping a few hundred or a couple thousand round rifles a year. They're shipping thousands on thousands of rifles, and many times more that I, just believe in parts, right? And I mean, again, unless your opinion is different, I'm pretty sure they're the best of the cheapest.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to work for some time, most of the time. But it's an AR. It's easy to swap out parts if you're looking for your first rifle or something like that.
Right.
It's a fine start.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that, like, here's my thought process on this, because I've never been about, like, warranties or buying cheap stuff and trusting it with your life, right? My thought process is on this, right? If you have a solid handgun, you have some handgun training and that kind of stuff, like you bought, like, a Glock or something similar, right? And you don't know how hard you're going to go into the AR game. Yeah. I mean, because what most Palmetto rifles end up, because, like, this was the receivers are Palmetto. The barrel and bolt used to be theirs, but as what most Palmettos end up, you basically sacrifice the parts that break, which will break fairly soon, to the training gods, and then you replace those parts with just good ones, right? That's pretty much what it turns into. There's a lot of people that are just kind of like, no, don't start there, start somewhere better. And personally, I agree with that. Like, if you have the capability to just run out and get a BCM upper, or, because you can match up a lot of receivers to it, and we'll talk more on that, I guess, here in a second. But, like, if you're able to just buy better things, because then you don't have to replace parts. And you won't have to worry about things breaking on you mid-class. Because what I was saying before is, like, if you're going to take a class with a standard PSA something, like from their Freedom line, or there's like 800 different lines of them, have your better bolt in your toolbox ready to go, so that you can run it until that first one fucking dies on you, and then you can put your better bolt in there. Understanding that until you have better parts in it, I'm not going to trust my life to it, ever. Yeah,
don't be that guy that's like, well, why would I buy a BCM when I can buy 2 PSAs? I've got a rifle and a backup rifle.
Yeah, because it's absolutely not just as good. They've never been just as good. They will never be just as good. And that's a big point that we're trying to make here. The only, I guess, caveats, really, are that they're the best of the absolute cheapest. And there's a couple of purposes that you can have for that. You know, like, number one, if you don't know how hard you're going to go into the rifle game, just because of, like, your lifestyle or whatever, right? There's a lot of people that live in, like, papier-mâché apartments and in the city, they might not want to go with a rifle. I think you should anyway. But, and you're experimenting with it, you can get away with something that's put together on the cheap and see, okay, am I actually going to get into this, right? Because a solid rifle complete is like what? What are you running now? Like $2,000 by the time it's done?
With optic and, yeah.
Yeah, good optic, good light, not including night vision stuff, around about $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, so guys on shoestring budgets working on cars and that kind of shit, you know, not like you're super advanced fucking mechanics either. I know you fucking people make money, but that's not the point, right? Point is, you know, on a shoestring budget, you got kids and everything else, you can piece together something on the cheap and see how far you're going to go with it, which is, I mean, so that's one. The other one is if you have a backup to your better rifle, or the second rifle that you convince someone else to come to class with. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, that dude's going to run it. You're not sure if it's going to make it, but, you know, you either got instructors that'll loan you guns or whatever, right? It's just to get that person there. Or in case your primary rifle does actually go down because you beat the brakes off it. That happens, right? I've had to complete classes with, you know, beater gun before, and that's another one, is that, you know, they're beater guns. You know, and while we're on that subject, another one, I talked to you about this yesterday, was concept flirtation.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you have, you know, that AR pistol that you know runs good, you got a solid dot on it, you've trained with it, you're really good at this thing, and you have like a red dot on it or something, and you don't know if you're into variable power optics, you know, or you don't know if you want to flirt with a Mark 12 concept or a recce rifle or some shit like that.
Or even a different caliber.
Yeah, different calibers too. You can flirt with that concept on the cheap, and then when you decide, okay, I actually want to get into whatever that is, you can upgun it with better parts and that kind of shit too. Because, I know, you might start fucking around with 300 black and you're just saying like, super advanced 30-30 is not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Some people are just kind of like, nah, I'm good. You know, or they're just kind of like, logistically, I can't handle another caliber. That too.
300 black's expensive.
But
if you're not running a can, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, because if you're not running a can, just buy an AK, really.
Yeah.
A good one. But point is, though, is that, like, you can flirt with different concepts on the cheap, and then if you decide that you want to get into better things, you're not out $2,000 to start. And then you got an arms list shit, and everything else, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, they have their use, but they have a pretty well-defined purpose at this point, and it's not putting out, you know, like Knight's Armament quality SR-15 type rifles. It's proliferation is their whole thing. Yeah. They're trying to shovel as many fucking rifles out into American hands as possible, and they're very successful at it.
They're very successful.
They're very successful at it. So, I mean,
when I worked in the sales side of the business, we would lose a lot of sales just because why would I buy this XYZ thing that's still like a Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport 2 or whatever, when I can get a Palmetto State Armory for $100, $200 less. Oh, and it comes with a red dot. I can't really argue with you. I mean, if you're just looking for that quality of rifle, then that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, well, and here's the thing too, because we've been teaching a while, we've seen a lot of different rifles show up. If ARs go down, it's like a Delton or an Anderson or
a complete Anderson. You can be like, my lower's fine.
Well, of course your lower's fine. Like 7 people make them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Is like a complete Anderson. Like, I've seen a million of those get killed in class. Or like a DPMS. I don't think I've ever seen one in like the last 5 to 7 years make it all the way through a class. Something horrifying happens to a DPMS, a complete one, anytime it comes through class. And I mean, like, as far as just guns that come through class, you don't really notice them all that much.
Yeah, no.
Mostly because ARs look like ARs, and they make it through that class, and eventually that dude upguns it with whatever parts he wants to. You know, and of course there are guys that are going to make the arguments about, oh well, complete factory rifles from again like BCM, Dana Defense, and that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, tolerances are going to be a little tighter.
Yes.
Yeah, but I've also hodgepodged rifles together, and then like 62 grain Wolf, I'm getting single shot hits at 600, like a 4-power ACOG, you know, like, and if your tolerances were really that much loose, that would not happen ever, you know. So, I mean,
basically what we're getting at is it's fine. It's fine for like getting started. It's fine for a beater gun that you're kind of using as a backup, or a handed off gun. Whatever it may be.
Yeah. Until you decide that you're going to get serious with pick whatever purpose that thing has, or whatever purpose you got for rifles, they'll get you by.
I mean, if you decide you want to go hard into this, then you can always sell it. I mean, you don't have to keep it as a backup.
Yeah.
Sell it, use that money to go ahead and invest in an LWRC, Knights if you really want to spend money. Daniel Defense, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I mean, I've known a lot of guys that a Palmetto to start was like the heart of everything they were doing, and they're revolving, you know, better parts around it and all this other shit until they decide to quit fucking around and get a Knights, you know, or something that's of, you know, that higher tier quality with HPMP bolts, shit like that, you know.
I mean, people say that these guns are for the poors, but that's not necessarily true. It's for the people who don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is that, yeah, they're on the cheap, but a lot of times, I mean, it's so much easier to get someone into handgun.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Where they're like, what should I get? And I can just be like, go buy this, and you're set.
You can't change parts on a Taurus and make it work better. You can change parts on that and make it work better.
Right. But ultimately, if it's something, for instance, like a Taurus, you're gambling.
Yeah.
Right? With the best of the cheapest, basically.
Yeah.
It's the parts longevity. And a lot of times they're complete guns, like they're complete ARs and that kind of shit, have QC issues. Which is why a lot of times people parts things together. Right? So, I mean, if there isn't something obviously wrong from the jump, it's likely to do just fine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their issues is loose gas blocks and stuff like. It's stuff that you're going to notice within the first couple hundred rounds.
At the most.
Yeah. So it's an easy fix for 9 times out of 10. Yeah. So just fix it real quick, and it's going to last you for a couple thousand at least, 3 to 5, and then from there just start swapping parts. I mean, at that point, you've saved enough money that you can go and start adding quality parts to that thing.
Yeah, but the number one thing that I'm going to say before any of this is that if you start fucking around with, you know, Palmetto, right, as far as the self-defense realm and that kind of stuff is concerned, you have to have something you can count on first. Don't gamble and fuck around with rifle stuff that you don't have knowledge of, right? Because that's why a lot of people get these things, is to figure it out, right? Have a solid self-defense implement first. Personally, if you're getting into guns and you're new, you should be getting a handgun and concealed carry holster anyway, right? Have that thing that you know works and that you know you can train with, beat the brakes off of, and you're fine. And then we can start flirting with carbines in general, or, you know, just the ARs as a concept, or whatever the fuck, right? Don't sit there and get a complete, you know, Palmetto. I don't really care what configuration it is, because even if you get your premium line, I've seen a bunch of those with off-the-jump, made on Monday QC issues too, right? Granted, I got lucky on a 20-inch rifle, right? Cool. I've seen people not lucky before.
Yeah.
You know? So, if you're getting one of those things, you have to understand what you're getting. And it's, for me anyway, a test bed, or a backup gun, or whatever, that eventually morphs into something not Palmetto really anyway, other than the receivers.
Or I don't even want to do rifle, and I'm only doing handgun, or shotgun, or whatever, which is rare. Most of the time when somebody gets one of these, they're like...
I don't see many people going to ARs, and they're like, I just prefer my shotgun.
I've had one.
That's weird.
He was also over 50.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, so, more or less, I guess what we're trying to say is cool your fucking jets.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody, chill the fuck out. We know what they are.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to compete with SR-15s and that kind of shit. And that's the thing, is Palmetto is very much aware of what they are.
Yeah.
We're just here to shovel out shitloads of stuff, and ultimately I think they're doing, Americans in general a service, because it's like...
100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not like Delton, Anderson, fucking DPMS and that kind of stuff, where I'm absolutely certain you take that thing to a class and it's not going to last.
Yeah.
Through that one class. If it's like 1,000 rounds or more, probably going to die.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then after those guns make it through 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes, I've seen more than that, on rare occasions.
Yeah, I would say that's...
twice.
Yeah.
But they make it through that, and then dude's like, all right, I'm certain this thing's going to die very soon. Well, what do I do now? And then you start talking to them about parts, and they start learning things. Or they break shit, and there's kind of like, okay, I got tired of using Chris's rifle for the rest of that fucking thing. So what broke? Let's see what I can do to fix it, and blah, blah, blah. Either way, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and if you're at a reputable class, the instructor is going to be like, oh, get this, and it'll fix the issue.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a Tom, Buck, Dick, and Harry NRA guy, he's going to be like, oh, just get this and that, and it'll be fine. It's on eBay for $15.
Yep. On that, quick side note, 1 million people ask me about their AKs. Every single time I start getting faith in them, I get a horror story or 5. Right? So, I'm not going to bet on that shit. Me personally, if you got one that you can beat the brakes off of and it works, okay, great. But I'm probably going with something Romanian, Russian, Chinese, Bulgarian, one of those.
I have no opinion. It's an AK.
Yeah, well, you're also a fag. So, look, I think that we've beat this one to death. I'm certain that the people that already hated our opinion have left the comment, and they're gone now. But, hey, that's all I really got here.
That's all I got.
Yeah, so, hey, look, just know what you're getting into, okay? Know what you're getting into, know what they are. Be like, listen, if I get a complete gun from them and there isn't something obviously broken, the parts longevity that I'm going to have is from, like, when I started training seriously, and that was, like, 2009-10, when everyone that went to a class brought a spare bolt. Everyone. This is also when, like, handguns, like, 75% of them in classes were 1911s.
Yeah.
So, not to make myself sound old, but I'm really not. I'm 30. But we get it. So, we're out of light. I'm out of shit to say.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I've got. So remember, regular guy's firearm is a last defense against tyranny. Easy.